Hello, everybody. Welcome to Flicker Effect, the special Comic-Con edition of our podcast. When are we recording this? We are recording this on Sunday, July 30th, 2017. I'm David Lott. Joining me this week is Bobby Jackson.
Hey, everybody.
Yasha Wilson.
Hey, what's going on, everyone?
And Michelle Curry.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome back to reality, guys. We're here.
Yeah.
Back in the... Michelle and I are back here in Orlando in the studio. You guys are still out there in California, enjoying the nice weather. You laugh because you're like, this weather sucks. And
No, I laughed because that was like something that you actually made note of, that you just had to say, like,
I did.
enjoying the nice weather.
Gosh,
'cause
man, I miss it.
You're
Yeah.
back in Florida.
I
It's
am.
glorious out there in Southern California.
But I was shocked. I was just in Atlanta this weekend, and I can't believe how nice the weather was there. I'm not even going to lie. It felt
wasn't
like
super
being
hot?
almost like being in San Diego.
Bull spit.
Dude, it was weird how good it felt. Don't get me wrong. It was hotter in Atlanta than it was in San Diego, but
Right.
there was like a lack of humidity going on up there. And I'm like, normally Hotlanta is hot.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
hence
used to
the term Hotlanta.
And-
Like, it's the catchphrase.
Yeah, it was odd. I was
millennials.
like, am I here in a different time than I thought I was? Like, anyway, it was weird. I was shocked how comfortable it was. And then we got down back to Valdosta, coming into Florida, and the rain started to hit. And I'm like, oh, here's the humidity.
Here it is.
Here it is.
Here
We're
it
back.
is. I know, like, being in San Diego, it was funny because we stayed in an Airbnb and we had a lot of lifts that we would take on our way out. And I know we tried to walk in as much as we could, but we definitely were taking lifts from basically the con back to the Airbnb. And I felt like every Lyft driver we had, they're like, man, how about this humidity? And I'm like, you are literally talking to the two worst people
To be saying that to.
be saying that to. I'm like, you're like,
It is
they're-
laughable.
like, and you and I would laugh at them. Like, we would
would.
laugh. I almost couldn't even not laugh at them. I'm like, yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
humid, super humid. You mean it's so humid that when I do my hair, it stays all day long? Oh yeah, that's really freaking humid. It's so horrible. Oh god,
Like,
what
I
a-
hear your complaints, but I don't think they're valid. So please stop talking.
Please
It's
stop.
just great.
it was just funny. And I think and they were all we had really good Lyft drivers. I'm saying this, we had really great Lyft drivers, but like our Lyft drivers, like it was always, weather is always an easy thing to go to when you are amongst a complete stranger. And so they're like, oh, it's just so humid today. I'm like, oh god, I can't. Oh no, it's not. You guys are so cute that you think this is humid. It's adorable. Like I want to like pet them and like stroke their head and tell them it'll be okay. Somehow you'll make it through Southern California humidity. And I'm laughing now. I can't even say it with a straight face. Like, it makes me giggle like thinking about it. I'm like, no, it's not that. No.
I mean, to be fair, there's no place as humid as Florida in the United States. So everybody else where there's humidity at, it's going to be like humid to their liking, I guess. Too,
Oh, yeah, we
where it's
totally get
uncomfortable.
that.
Oh no, I mean
Absolutely.
it's basically Florida and Hawaii. I totally understand as far as the 50 United States of America go. It's Florida and Hawaii. I'm fully aware of this, but yeah, no.
Yeah, no, it's still just funny.
Still funny to hear it. I mean, when people in Atlanta are like, it's humid today, I'm like, yeah, it's humid in Atlanta.
Like,
I agree with you.
Yeah, like I get what you're saying, Bobby,
Oh,
but
dude.
yeah, it's funny like what you're saying too, Michelle, when you do encounter someone like that in their home in San Diego and they're like, oh, it's humid. And I'm like, I almost feel bad for you that you're really encountering the wrong person to be saying that to right
Yeah,
now.
the worst.
You're right. That's what it is. That's what
Yeah.
it comes down to.
Yeah.
So anyway, enough about humidity and weather in San Diego. Let's talk about the real deal. So we were out there for Comic-Con, or at least some of us. And
Oh, he threw that out early. I wasn't even gonna bring it up, and he just threw that out there.
I just
So
had to
unnecessary.
get it out of the way.
So unnecessary and so like matter of fact. It's just like, oh well, most of us were out there and got to experience the awesomeness that is Comic Con. But hey, let's go ahead and move right along into Comic Con.
You know where else is humid, right? Costa Rica.
Costa Rica, goddamn right it is.
But anyway,
Real quick, how was Costa Rica? We haven't really talked.
It was a blast. I won't take up too much time about it. It was not as crazy as you would probably think for a bachelor party. It was my cousin's bachelor party, but we had a great time. It was crazy humid out there to the point where I left my air conditioning on in my hotel room full blast pretty much all the time. And I actually had to take breaks from just, this sounds silly, sitting at the pool and sitting at a bar and just like, I'm going to go sit in the air conditioner for a while, cool off, and come back outside. It was crazy humid and just very warm. Like you walk outside and just, okay, I'm going to be hot and sweaty now. Sounds good. Cool. That's what we're doing.
Nice.
But it was beautiful. Beautiful weather, beautiful beach. It was really interesting and fun. I ran into a friend of mine that I've known since I was about 8 or 10 while he was down there vacationing as well.
I saw that on Instagram.
So random and so wonderful, though. He took us out and showed us the town a little bit, introduced us to some of his friends that live down there. And it was a lot of fun. It was a really, really good trip. Enough that I'm very much looking forward to my next trip back to Costa Rica.
Nice. Going back.
It's cool.
Hell yeah.
Wow.
That's cool.
It's very cool.
I did think about you guys every single day. Like every day that I was down there, almost like clockwork, you were probably the first thought in my head when I woke up in the morning. It's like, what are they doing today? What are they going to see today? Well, I'm like, well, it's Saturday, so that's Hall H Day. Bobby's really probably having a great time.
I think it felt like Hall H Day was Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Hall H Day was like 3 days.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Jesus.
Yeah, I can't believe you guys stood in line for 3 days. For that.
36 hours?
Yeah, I think it came out to like 30 something hours.
I think it came out to 37 and some change. Technically, from the time you started to the time you physically walked into Hall H, it was like 37 and change.
There was a time I remember Bobby and I having these conversations where we had put these limits where we're like, you know what, if it ever gets to this point, we're done with Hall H on Saturday. We haven't abided by that whatsoever.
Clearly.
Clearly.
But I definitely remember those conversations where we're like, you know what, I'm putting my foot down. I'm not waiting. I'm not spending the night. We spent 2 nights.
You people lie to yourself so bad. I mean, I lie myself on my weight, but Jesus, y'all lie to yourself hard.
Yeah. It's just crazy. I mean, we could jump into it quickly. We're not going to dwell on like the specifics like this of Comic-Con, but yeah, I mean, it's just crazy how quickly it has changed. I mean, what really wasn't that long ago. My first con was 2012. That's 5 years. And I mean, in 2012, Bobby and I, this is where we met in the Hall H line. We got in line at, I want to say it was like 5 a.m. on Saturday. And we got into the room, and I mean, don't get me wrong, they weren't great seats, but they weren't terrible. Like, we could have been worse. Like, we got in the room okay. And in 5 years, it has gone from getting in the line day of, morning of, 5 a.m. to spending the night 2 nights to get in there at all. It's kind of crazy how quickly times have changed.
I think it's amazing, literally just going from last year to this year even. It's crazy to me. Like, basically, and I can be really wrong about this, but I feel like at the absolute latest last year, Bobby got into that line at 4:30 a.m. Friday. Like, latest. I'm saying that's the latest. It might have been a little earlier. Bare latest, he was at 4:30 Friday morning. And he got us a spot right in front of the IMDb boat. You go there.
I got there at 11:30 p.m.
on
Thursday night.
And we're in the exact
same spot.
5 hours.
I was walking down
5 hours
because I came across the bridge over near there in the Hilton, and I'm coming down that walkway right along the water, and I'm looking at the line, and as I'm getting closer and closer to those boats, I'm like, I think this is going to happen. I can't believe this shit. Like, at first it was looking like I was going to be farther up, like just in front of the boat or something. But I'm like, I walked up. I'm like, this. Oh no, this can't be happening.
We were in, and I mean, I wish I could be like, oh no, we're slightly a spot to the left or slightly a spot to the right. We were in the exact same spot as the year before, and
that's wild.
It's crazy. Just statistically speaking, it's nuts. But 2, that's a 5-hour difference from last year to this year, and you were in the exact same location.
Right.
And you stayed that night, and then Bobby stayed Friday night and slept overnight, and that's a whole nother thing. But it's crazy to me to think that in 1 year, 5 hours, and you're in the exact same position. That's how much it's changed.
And if I had gotten there at the same time we did last year, I don't think we would have gotten in the room.
Oh, hell no.
Especially considering some other trouble that I seem to encounter with Hall H this year, but we'll get to that later.
All right.
Yeah, it's crazy how quickly it has changed. And next year, if we do this whole thing again, I mean, basically, it seems like officially they allowed the line to start at around 10 p.m.
Right.
And we'll be there at 10 p.m.
I was gonna say at this point next year, we're all gonna just take turns, and it's just gonna, like we have, and it's gonna be who's gonna go for the 10 p.m. on Thursday night and stay the night, and then it's.
Well, that's
crazy.
That begs the question. Like you just answered my question. They officially start letting people line up around 10 p.m. or whatever. Like it's getting further and further back into the week. Like, what are you gonna do? What are we gonna do when it comes to the point of like Tuesday? People are lining up for Tuesday to go to the Hall H panel on a Saturday. Because I mean, I've seen movie fans are crazy. Like I've seen people line up in advance for when they were releasing episode 1. And Bobby, you should remember this. You worked at a movie theater when this was going on, seeing people camp out for episodes 1, 2, 3 for weeks at a time. Like not just a month, like a couple of days, but weeks. So it's getting further and further into the week, and that's just crazy.
And I mean, I will say that like even on Wednesday, there were people. And I will say this isn't the official line, but there are people on Wednesday that were starting their own unofficial line for the start of the Friday line that would have started Thursday night at 10 p.m. So people were already lining up to kind of be like, we're in line for Friday, even though we're not technically supposed to even be in line until 10 p.m. Thursday night. Like it was this whole thing. Like I was like, oh my God, it's freaking Wednesday, dude.
And that's the thing. I'll be curious to see how it plays out next year, since most likely we're all game for, okay, one of us is going to need to be there at 10 p.m. Thursday night when the official line starts. It'll be interesting to see how these kind of unofficial lines really play out.
Right.
Because, yeah, officially Comic-Con is like, hey, you can't line up until this point for the next day or for the 2 days away. And if these unofficial lines are really happening, I'm curious to see what drama is involved with that, with the people who are like, screw your unofficial line. If Comic-Con says I can get in line at this point, I'll get in line right at this point, and maybe jumping in front of people. And I don't know. It'll be curious to see how that plays out, because I haven't encountered that yet. I've only done the quote-unquote official lines.
Right,
so,
right.
The unofficial thing can definitely be interesting.
It's going to get trickier. I think it is. And like this year, I think was the first year I really feel like I saw that kind of go down.
Right.
Like...
And, you know, going back to what Bobby and I had said in the past about, hey, we got to draw a line somewhere. We're not going to do this. Like, in the end, I've continued to do this with you guys, because it's like we're all taking turns, and it makes it still doable. If it weren't for that, like if I were going to the con again alone, say, next year, nobody else could go and only I could go, like there's no way in hell I would not be doing Saturday College.
No.
Like there's no way I would spend 2 nights in line, stay in line the whole time, even if I made friends with the people around me and they were like, oh, go get food and stuff. Like still, that's not happening.
But you know what made it happen this year?
What made it happen?
What do you tell me? What do you think made it happen this year?
The lovely canopy we had.
Yeah.
It was very nice. We should really get it with a logo on. We should get our logo on.
We really need to get our
canopy.
logo on the canopy, because that canopy not only was awesome as a whole, but 2, it caught the eye of all the celebrities.
And you had iZombie people
They
talking
were
to you,
even
right?
like the people, like all the celebrities that were going to the IMDb boat and the Warner Brothers boat. All of them were like, I mean, I feel like as soon as I would interact with any of them, or you would, or Bobby would, like as soon as we would interact with them, they're like, dude, your canopy, look at that. Like they were like, oh, you're so smart, look at that. We're like, that's right, we are smart.
We're professionals.
That
didn't get here at 10 when we should have. We should have gotten here at 10, but we didn't.
we but at the same time though, like I mean, you guys will get into the whole like where you were in the room and stuff, but like for me, for someone who wasn't even going in to Hall H on Saturday,
Very kind, Michelle.
having that spot be right there in front of the IMDb vote again was really nice for me, like to be in line and to see the celebrities and kind of come and go and do a little more interaction again this year. It was fun, and that's, for me, like again this year, that was kind of my con in a weird way, like
I get
it
that.
was. I was like, well, thank God, at least we have this spot. Like, at least I have this much while I spend my day Friday.
And it's entertaining,
in
I think,
line.
on the other side to watch you enjoy it. Because it's like, we'll be chatting. I remember when the iZombie thing happened. We'll just be sitting there talking, and you will just, out of nowhere, just jump up like, oh, hey, blah, blah, blah. and just start yelling at people, and I'm like, what the fuck just happened?
She did that last year too.
Yeah, she did that last year.
Like, kudos to you, Michelle, because you know everybody's name. I don't. Like, you're just like, oh, hey, what's up, Tiffany? How are you? Love that dress. You're looking really good. Rocking the hell out of it,
Dude,
girl. And
me and Robert Buckley from iZombie had like a full like convo happening this year. I was trying not to like secretly lose my mind. Like, I was like, oh my God, Robert Buckley. And then Bobby calls me out in front of the entire iZombie
I was
cast.
really impressed with Bobby on this one.
Dude. Like, I'm impressed. I kept talking to this man after that point.
Oh, that was
Bobby's
funny.
like,
what did Bobby say?
Yeah, I was gonna say, you're not gonna say it.
No, I'm gonna say it. So I'm having a back and forth with Robert Blakely, you know, like, or Buckley, and we're like, you know, he's like talking about the canopy, and I'm like, yeah, that's right, we learned from last year's mistakes, blah blah blah, and he's like, that's right, that's awesome, blah blah blah, and Bobby's like, don't listen to her, she's not a true fan, she still hasn't watched the last episode from last season.
Oh, dude.
Shit you
Why
not.
would you do that?
Shit you not. That's what Bobby says to the entire, and I mean the entire iZombie cast. So then, of course, he says this, and then Robert Buckley turns back around and he's like, it's all good. Somebody dies, though. And
Oh my God.
I'm like-
Bobby, that's savage.
I'm like, Bobby, I hate you so much right now. I just lost any credibility whatsoever. Not just
Don't
that.
listen to her. She hasn't watched the last episode. Oh my God. Why would you do that?
It was in the moment. I didn't even know I said everything I said.
That's so mean. That's so mean. That's so fucked up.
So,
oh
yeah.
my God.
I thought it was
I wish you
kind
could
of
see my face right now, Michelle, because my jaw literally dropped. I'm like, holy shit. Because I know how much you love this show. You got me into this show. And the fact that he called you out in front of Major Lillywhite. Like, I was just like, oh, no way.
Like, it was in front of, it was literally, I'm not even shitting you, it was literally in front of Robert Buckley, the guy who plays Major. It was in front of, what's his name? Raul, the one that actually, not to give spoilers away. So he's standing right there, like Allie's standing right there. What's his name that plays the partner of the detective? He's standing right there, and I'm just like, I don't even know. I can't even begin to describe what my face looked like when I turned my head and looked at Bobby, because I'm pretty sure I was like, dude, did you just say that out loud?
I think, as I sit here and think about it, I think the reason why I said it is because we had just had a conversation either on the podcast or just amongst ourselves as we were talking about how you still hadn't watched the final episode and you had chances, opportunities, and you still didn't watch it. And so I think that was fresh in my mind. And when they were there, I was just like, what do you mean you're a fan? Because you were like saying how much of a fan you are to them. I was like, wait, but she hasn't even watched the last episode. So
yeah. So yeah,
I feel like that's going to come back, Bobby. I really feel like that's going to come back to you sooner or later. Just saying. You read.
I watch everything.
Well, irregardless, my point to this entire subject that has now gone completely off the rails is that even though we were in the spot that we were in, and I don't know exactly how David and Bobby feel about their positioning on their seats inside the Hall H, it was still nice, at least for me, that we were in the spot that we were in, because I was able to have those interactions on Friday because I wasn't going to be in Hall H. So it was still kind of nice. It was still a lot of fun to kind of see people. And even later in the evening, you know, when the IMDb boat has their big party, like seeing everybody like go in for the party and then watching people slowly get drunk on the boat, like it's entertaining. I mean, you know, Yasha, it's funny. And so, you know, at one point Bobby kind of got into it actually Friday, and he wound up like running to where the entrance and exit was, and he was taking photos of like the cast from Preacher, and actually you got some of the photos from the iZombie group because David and I think went to lunch and we missed it when they were leaving.
Yeah.
But I mean, you got these really amazing photos, Bobby, of all these really awesome stars that like, and their photos, I even tried getting the pictures of the cast from Outlander for my family members that are obsessed with that show. And like, it was cool because if you really think about it, like, I was literally within arm's reach of people. Like, I could have touched these people, and I know Bobby could have. And like, to be able to kind of have that interaction, you're not going to get that kind of interaction inside of Hall H. You know, it's not. You know, I say that unless you were on like the aisle when the entire cast of League or Justice League walked in, but otherwise, you're not going to get that interaction where you're going to be literally right in front of them. Like, I mean, you literally could touch them, and so it's kind of fun in a way, and it's not something that I think you're going to get unless you stand in line for hours for signings. You're not going to get that kind of interaction with all these people, so it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it really is. I think that's for sure one of the big highlights is just being by that IMDb boat, or as Kevin Smith, I think he called it the IMD boat because
Right.
the last letter is the B. But
Right.
I think that's one of those things where you do see a lot of celebrities there, and I don't think they've been doing it for all that long. If they did it before last year, I just don't remember it. But
I don't think they did. But yeah, same.
Yeah,
same story.
Stood out to me.
It seemed to be successful enough last year that they kept it for this year, and even then, like, I mean, last year there was a WB boat. Actually, I think last year it was technically a CW boat, and this year they changed it to a Warner Brothers boat.
Right.
Because I think they were trying to encapsulate other aspects of Warner Brothers as a whole, not just the station.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, yeah, they had another boat this year, and then TBS had a boat again this year, and like. They're doing it because, one, it's getting attention from people that are on the marina, but they can also do interviews and not be super locked into the schedule that's happening inside the convention center. And so I think it's a really smart thing on these companies' behalves that they're doing to kind of continue promotion, and they're not constantly having to chase their stars down within the hotels or within the convention. You know, they can kind of be like, hey, so you're going to do this thing in the hotel, and then you're going to come over to the boat, and then you're going to go in the convention, and then you're going to go do your signing at the booth, and then you're finally done. And it's kind of like, it's more to their day, but at the same time, it's nice to have that structure for them because they're not just sitting in one spot all day long, and they're just doing all the same things over and over. So,
well, let's get enough about boats.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Tangent.
Let's get to the big stuff. So Comic-Con, we'll get to the big things first. Marvel, DC, of course, is a couple of the big reasons we go to Hall H on Saturday. And since DC does their thing first, we'll jump on that first. Justice League revealed a new trailer while we were there, and it's out to the public, so we've all seen it. And I'm curious what you guys think. Do you have any different feelings on Justice League? Do you have any bigger or lower expectations for this movie, which is coming up in November, if I remember correctly?
I kind of want to throw it back at you almost immediately because you're the DC person.
I'm labeled the DC guy.
And now he's saying this, people. Let me explain this to you. He's saying this, and he literally even just gestured to the shirt that he's wearing that has a Batman Aquaman. You totally gestured to it.
I did not mean to gesture to the shirt.
You totally
I'm wearing
just
a Batman Aquaman shirt.
You're wearing a Batman Aquaman shirt. Like, it's hard to not call you the
DC guy. I know, I'm the DC guy.
But what's a Batman Aquaman shirt?
I
know.
You were with us when you bought it, dude.
Oh, Michelle, that's for the audience. Let me pull that curtain back and look, there's Bobby back there.
Well, the funny thing is, Bobby, you're asking, and you probably know more about it than me, but
yeah.
Yes, it has the Batman logo with the Aquaman logo on top of it.
It's layered.
I assume, based on what I have learned, that I don't know much more about, that it is from this evil Batman, this metal Batman whole comic dealio that's going on. That, again, Bobby, you know more about it than me.
My point is, though, we should ask you about this trailer, because that's what I want to know, is what David thinks about this trailer.
I didn't watch this Justice League trailer and honestly feel a lot different than I already did right from the beginning. I'll say that. It was a good trailer, but I think it started off well, like the little scene with Wonder Woman at the beginning of the trailer, and you definitely get some humor in it that you're like, is this already evidence of Joss Whedon stuff we're seeing or not? I don't know. It's so hard to say what was shot before he started doing reshoots, but. It's not a bad trailer. It's a good trailer, but it'd be difficult for them to probably put out something at this point that I'd be like, you know what? This is going to be fucking awesome. Like, I am just super skeptical right now. And again, I want Justice League to be great, but I don't know. I think a lot of it too has to do with that. Maybe I have a little burnout on the whole, like, multiple heroes in one movie thing, and that'll play into my thoughts on the stuff we saw for Marvel. But I don't know, like, you know, like we got a chance to see some stuff from Aquaman, and we'll get to that in a second in the DC panel, the Warner Brothers DC panel. And that even is for as little as we saw from Aquaman, because they've really only just begun shooting, I believe, and there's really nothing they could show us yet. But, you know, I'm excited about that. But Justice League at this point, I'm still like, I don't know. Like, there's things about the look of some certain characters that I'm still questioning, and I'm skeptical. That's where I am. The trailer did not change much for me. Michelle, since you threw it at me, what about you?
Oh, awesome. I'm actually with you. Like, it didn't change a lot of my opinion on this film. I'm still very, like, I don't know. I feel like when I'm seeing in the trailers, there's moments I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. And then the moment I have that split second thought in my head, it's almost immediately followed by another scene where I go, oh, what's happening there visually? What? And I don't like what I'm seeing a lot. I'll be honest. I seem to like the Wonder Woman stuff. I have a good responses when I watch those portions, I should say, bad English. So when I see those portions, I'm kind of like, okay. And I feel like I'm getting it. And then I don't know. It feels, there's a lot of stuff that feels forced. Like whenever I feel like I'm looking at Batman talking to Aquaman, I'm like, what? There's no flow. And then things just look, I don't know. But as far as this trailer goes, it definitely didn't change anything. It was kind of more of the same. And it was just like, is this a Joss stuff? Is this, you know, Ryan stuff? I don't know. Or Brian stuff. I'm like, I don't know. It's weird. And yeah, I'm with you. Like it hasn't changed me for the like, holy hell, and I cannot wait for this film. And I will see this film, and I am excited at the fact that this film has happened or is still happening as we speak. But I'm not at that like, oh my God, I cannot wait. I'm just like, okay, it's happening. We'll see what the fuck happens.
And not only am I curious just to ask you guys because it's a big thing, but I mean, I've definitely seen reactions on the internet of this seemed to be the trailer that people are like, oh my God, okay, this is going to be great. And I mean, I point to, I'm not going to say his name, but I have one friend, you know, who doesn't live near me anymore, and he's on Facebook, and he is the kind of guy that's super skeptical. Like I hate to hesitate to say he hates Zack Snyder, but he seems like the guy. He's a hater. And he commented on this trailer online and just like, yes, hell yeah, this is it. This is what I want to see. Like he was super excited by this trailer, and I'm like, whoa, did it really look that different to everybody? Because it didn't to me.
Yeah, but what anyway. Moment was the turning point for him in that trailer that like changed his whole outlook on this whole situation? Because for me, it was kind of a little bit more of the same, a little more humor, yeah, a little
bit, and that's good. I mean,
yeah, it's fine.
I'm all for humor.
But overall, it was a little more of the same.
Right. Bobby, you were in the room with me when we saw it, and I'm sure you've watched it again since. What do you think?
I think it was great. I thought it did a good job in terms of really conveying to me, in one sense, okay, now we know a little bit more about the story. We see that there's a threat and that they have to face off against this. Well, they don't specifically name him in the trailer, I don't think, but it's Steppenwolf that you see at the end credits of the Batman v Superman movie. And so you know that there's this central threat. And like you guys mentioned, there's more of humor added into it, but it also just looks like just the color palette is lightened up a little bit. It just, the tone of it feels more like this is going to be a good team up movie where you see these people come together in a way that makes sense. Aquaman just looks like he's the standout because he's sort of like I don't know, in a way like the equivalent of Thor. Like he kind of looks like he just likes to party or have a good time, and he seems to have fun doing what he does. So I think I felt like, in terms of, did it excite me more than the other trailer? No, but it just still makes me on the same level of excitement that I was before, which is that I am excited for it. Everything I've seen about it, I've been geeking out about. I haven't seen anything that's really made me question what how good or bad the movie will be. I honestly have high expectations for it based on what I've seen. So if it doesn't do that for me, then I'll be severely let down because everything I've seen for it, I've loved and really think that it's going to really be big and do really big numbers and have people on the side of the critics that like it and people on the side of the fans and general movie going audience that will like it. So for me, it's just like one of those things where it didn't elevate the level of excitement, but it kept it at a level that's already pretty high. So I did enjoy the trailer and seeing this additional look at it just to sort of help flesh it out a little bit more.
Well, Bobby, I want to say you give me hope. Like, because, like, I don't know, maybe I also recognize that maybe I'm just jaded at this point, and there's nothing they can do, basically, like I just said, that really get me pumped for this. So when I hear people like you say, you know what, no, I think this looks great, and I think it's going to be awesome, like, it makes me hopeful that it will be great. I really hope it is, because I want it to be.
I mean, you see Aquaman Paris like sailing or surfboarding on a parademon into a building and just walking out and just whipping his hair back like that was just the easiest thing in the world. It just looks like it's going to be fun. I think that's what they seem to be trying to convey at this point, that it's going to be a blast.
I think the biggest question marks, and I'm sure that's for everybody because they're pretty much new characters. I mean, obviously I'm curious to see how Aquaman plays into this, but especially for me, the Flash. Like, I like Ezra Miller as an actor, and I do like this choice of casting for the Flash, and I think he's a good fit. But we see a little bit of his humor in this trailer, and I like what we saw, and some of what we saw anyway. And yeah, I hope it works. I want it to work so badly, especially because there's been a little bit of backlash because we already have a Flash show, and that actor is not in this movie, and a lot of people wanted him to be, and I so want Ezra Miller to be good in this. And yeah, I don't know. I definitely have my problems with the costume and the way it looks, and I hope after I see this movie I'll forget all that and not care anymore, because I can say the costume, I don't know, I think it looks odd. But Michelle,
I mean, it's interesting because so much has been drawn up between Ezra Miller and Gus Grant. What is his last name?
Grant
Gustin. Sorry, I had it backwards. So, like, and for me, it's weird as it is because I watched the first 2 seasons of Flash and I really enjoyed it.
I'm sorry, I was like second guessing myself. I was like, maybe Michelle's right.
No, I think you were right.
Grant. I think you were right.
No, yeah, it's Grant Gustin.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. So Grant Gustin. Maybe, I think what it is for me, it's the Instagram. That's what I think of in my head. So I almost feel like that's like one type of a Flash, and what we're going to see in Batman is almost a whole separate type of a Flash, like a different storyline of Flash. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm able to separate it. Now, mind you, I'm saying I can separate it, knowing that there are multiple Flashes, and there's different types of storylines with Flash, and there's all this other stuff. I don't know how the general public is going to react to it. And so far, they're very confused because I think they're kind of going, well, wait, this Flash is happening on TV. What's going on here? And I think they think it's all going to jive up. And I don't know, maybe it is supposed to in the grand scheme of it all. But I think for me, for my sake, for my understanding of it, I feel like Grant Gustin's one Flash and Ezra Miller's going to be a different Flash. And not saying different people Flash, just different takes. It's just different to me. Does that make sense? I don't know. It's weird. In my head, I've somehow justified the situation.
Right. Like their performances are totally different.
Oh, completely. So like I've completely rectified the whole situation in my head. Like I'm like, oh, this is one. I've compartmentalized and gone, this is one, that's the other, and that's just how it is.
Right.
And I don't know if the general audience is going to be able to do that the way I have, at least.
Right. Yasha, I assume you've watched the trailer. What did you think of it?
I'm with Bobby. I have high hopes. I'm hoping that it comes out really well. I guess I'm with you as well, David. Bobby kind of voiced everything that I was thinking about when it came to this, but I'm with you. Like, DC has done such a good job advertising what these movies are going to be, and then they never really, in my feeling, quite deliver what I was hoping to see. So I'm really hopeful that this is going to be good. I like the addition that, we get a chance to really see kind of Steppenwolf a little bit in action. That does open the door to the parademons and the fact that we may get a dark side. We'll probably get a dark side later on. And everybody knows I've been very vocal about hopefully seeing Granny Goodness, just because I think that would be awesome to see her on screen. If anything, just for the name, I want to see Darkseid, this omnipotent badass, just look to his right and say, "Granny, take care of it." Like, what the hell? Like, I mean, how awesome is that going to be? I mean, I'm looking forward to the movie. I think this trailer didn't get me to the point where I'm like, oh, hell yeah, this is it. I did laugh at the parts that I didn't see, but you don't really get much more from this trailer that you've gotten in the past trailers, except maybe a little bit more Aquaman. I think Aquaman is going to be a complete badass in this movie. I think they're really going to work hard to try and make sure that he stands out and basically launches his movie, which will be coming out, shortly after that. And I think he's going to be a real standout. And I think the Flash is going to be a real standout, because I think those are the two characters that everybody really wants to see now, because we haven't seen those yet. I'm not so interested or excited about Cyborg. I don't know why. I'm just not there yet. Maybe it's just because I haven't seen enough footage of him, but I'm interested. I'm not super excited. I'm looking forward to see what they do. But I'm with you. I really am looking forward to seeing what they do with the Flash, and definitely Aquaman, especially when he has this, this kind of like spirit, it seems like, that he's exhibiting on screen, that he loves the idea of going into battle and loves the idea of beating the hell out of people and taking on bad guys. Even though he doesn't want to be bothered, from the previous trailers, it looks like he doesn't want to be bothered by Bruce Wayne or anything that's going on. But now, like, when he comes full fruition and is ready to go and into it, he looks like he's ready to go, and I like that. So
yeah, I got to imagine that most people are in the same boat as you with Cyborg. Like, I mean, he's an actor that, most people are not aware of. And it's not like Jason Momoa, who, like, yeah, a lot of people haven't seen Aquaman on screen yet, but pretty much everyone seems to know who Jason Momoa is. And I think we're just excited to see him in this movie, in this role. But like Cyborg, it's like, it's a character we don't have any really backstory yet, and so far in the universe, and he's not a character anyone's invested in yet. And yeah, he's a big question mark. I hope he works out, but I agree with you. I'm aware of him from the comics, sure, but in the movie, I'm like, I don't know what to think yet.
I will say for that, the same way a lot of people who are younger may have had an investment in the Jon Stewart Green Lantern because they watched Justice League, the cartoon. I think that may hold true for Cyborg for the people who watch Teen Titans, the cartoon that comes on. So they might at least be familiar with the character, even if they're not as familiar with the actor.
Right. All right. Well, and while we're still talking about DC, I mean, we can kind of go through this real quick. Like I just said earlier, like the only other thing Warner Brothers and DC showed us from that universe was a little bit of the upcoming Aquaman movie directed by James Wan. It really wasn't much at all. But Bobby, I mean, what was your impression of what we saw?
Well, it just makes me more excited for the film, just because it just starts off with these two guys in a boat, and they're going fishing, and they hook something, and it starts to drag them around the riverbed or wherever they're at in the ocean. And then all of a sudden it gives you a top-down view, and you see under the water that there's all these ships that are underneath the water that are essentially going somewhere. It looks like a whole armada of ships. And then after that, it kind of shows you this underwater view and all these different, Atlanteans that are on vehicles that are racing through the water at super fast speeds and everything. And it just essentially kind of keeps racing towards the screen, and then all of a sudden I think it cuts. There may have been like one last shot of something, I can't remember what it was, and then it just sort of cuts right there. And from what I can see, it just looks like we're going to get something pretty special with this, because it's something that's I haven't seen done since, I don't know, in what, Waterworld, I guess, that they've attempted to have
right.
a movie set in water, most of the time. So it'll be interesting just to see how far they've come since then, and how well they can be able to show that visual effect, and maybe make some action scenes that will look pretty cool and amazing on film. And with James Wan doing it, I think there's a lot of expectation there and hope that he can do something really special with it. And so far, it's a good first look. I mean, it's not much. They didn't show us too much, but they showed us enough to start to get a visual feel of what the film is going to sort of give us. And I'm liking what I saw as a first look so far.
Yeah, same here. I mean, since we're not seeing much, it's not much to talk about, but yeah, it looks interesting. Like you only see a little bit of a shot of actually Aquaman himself, like right toward the end of the footage they showed. But I think there's nothing about, I will say, the footage we saw in particular that's like, okay, the look of this is cool, because there's really not much there. I think in general, I'm excited to see a different director make a DC movie again, like we saw with Patty Jenkins and Wonder Woman. And a completely kind of new character for a lot of people that, sure, everyone's aware who Aquaman is, but a lot of those people probably really have never even read an Aquaman comic, don't know his backstory. Like, I think it's going to be fun to see him on screen and see, like you said, like a movie that's so much set underwater. I don't know. I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
I'm way more excited about that right now, I had to say, than Justice League, sadly. Moving on to the other big studio of the day on Saturday, that would be Marvel, of course, which usually ends the day, and they did again this year. They end the day on Saturday. We saw a few things from them, and we'll start with Thor Ragnarok first, which is what they started with. We in Hall H got to see a lot of footage of the movie that they haven't released to the public, and I will say, I don't know how you felt, Bobby, as I'm watching it. Part of me, it was like I was enjoying the shit out of it, but at the same time, I was like, I feel like you guys are showing me a lot right now. Like the movie's in November. I'm like, I'm good. I didn't need to see anything. And sure, I'm excited about the film and I can't wait to see all of it. But I feel like you guys are showing me big chunks of scenes and I'm like, are you showing me too much?
It's like you're cheating on your future self.
Yeah.
Almost. You're like, I'm cheating on my future self seeing this film. I can't. No, it's naughty. It's wrong. It's so wrong. But I like it so much.
But in the end, I felt like, I guess because there's so much humor in this movie and it's already feeling a lot more like a comedy than especially the other Thor films have. In a way, I could already tell, though, I don't care. It's not going to matter. I'm still going to watch the film as a whole and hopefully enjoy it. And just because I saw a bunch of scenes from Comic-Con, it's not going to make a difference. Unlike, there are definitely other movies out there you could be like, oh, I don't want to see anything from it. But this wasn't, I don't think in the end was one of them. But I'll say right off the bat, the stuff we saw was great. Like, it's funny and it looks so good. And it felt like too much. But, it went from that right into the trailer that they released to the public, which also looks great. I've definitely always been a defender of the Thor films, and I feel like those are the movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe so far that I don't think get enough credit. And whenever I see lists, whenever someone decides to put together a list, an order of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I always feel like the Thor films are way the hell down there, and I'm like, why? I really like the Thor movies, even Dark World. I thought it was great. So I don't know. I get that I'm already a fan of these movies, maybe more than most people, but Thor Ragnarok is definitely a change of pace. And if you are someone who hasn't been a fan of the Thor movies, it may not matter. Thor Ragnarok may be like right up your alley, but I'm pretty happy so far with everything we've seen. Bobby, what'd you think of the stuff we saw?
Yeah, I guess I had slightly a different reaction to what we were seeing compared to you, because when they were showing a lot of that footage, I didn't really feel like I was being shown too much. It felt like it was a scene that probably happens. I don't know. If I had to guess, it's probably still within the first act, maybe second act of the film, where they were showing with Thor being sort of captured and then his transportation to the world of Sakaar.
Right.
And they were just giving you a basic setup of here's who Jeff Goldblum is playing, this game master. And they're also sort of setting you up to say, okay, Thor's on this world and he's kind of isolated, but now he runs into the Hulk, someone he knows, and here's kind of like what we see. And then they gave us a little bit of Taika Waititi's character that he's playing, his name is Korg, who was also in the Planet Hulk comic book, and he's doing the voice and I guess maybe the motion capture for it. But what I thought was interesting about seeing it and why it didn't bother me is because of, like you were saying, it was mostly a humorous clip and a setup to showing you a lot of what's going on. And I think if what they had shown me and what it consisted of had a lot more action to it, that I probably wouldn't have wanted to see, because I want to see the action on screen when it's in context and in its full glory. You know, I don't want to get too spoiled on the action that's going to happen, because I'm sure it's going to be a lot of it. And when you end up finding out, I think it wasn't on that day. I think it was like the next day or maybe that Sunday, the end of Comic-Con, where they had said that Taika had said that this is going to be Marvel's shortest movie. I think they were saying like an hour and 47 minutes or something runtime on it. So it's like, wow, that's crazy. But that means they really packed it in there.
That's that's shocking.
Yeah. So it was like, from when I saw the footage, I was definitely absolutely just enamored with the look of it and how the color palette has shifted, it seems like, with the Marvel movies since the Guardians and the Guardians 2, and everything seems so bright and colorful in a way that it's just like almost like visual eye candy, and you're just looking at all these different things, and being able to see, for me, a Thor movie that I'm again opposite of David, where the Thor series for me has been more or less the bottom of the barrels of the movies for Marvel to me, because I'm used to Thor in the comics, and it just didn't stand up to that level of what he's represents in the comics, and him mostly being in Asgard and having adventures there. And so the movies were kind of like, it's not really living up to his full potential, sort of in the same way maybe some people felt about the Hulk movies. But I think that with this one, it just looks like it just infused with the humor and just the overall look of it. It really feels like it's a movie that suits Thor and worthy of his sort of godly nature, and puts it in a very smart way of in putting the Hulk in there with it as well, and incorporating his story in terms of what one of the things he went through in the comic books and putting it together. I just think it was really smart, and it looks like it's going to just be very, very good for Marvel and helping set up or go towards Infinity War once it comes around next summer. So I'm really, really looking forward to Thor more and more as we sort of get closer to these winter months. And so, especially now that summer months or summer movies are kind of like fading out now and ready to move into that fall season, I'm like, this is the one that's on the radar for me, that I'm just like, okay, got this in Justice League and, Star Wars, and then that's it. I'm good, and let's move into the next year's crop of movies.
Yasha, what'd you think of the trailer?
So excited. I got goosebumps towards the end, and almost wanted to I was in my head screaming when Helena was like, "What are you the god of?" And all the lightning started flashing and stuff like that. I was like, Thor, God of Thunder. And I was just ready to go. I'm so excited. I'm geeking out for this movie. I'm ready to watch it now. I mean, I'm with you, David. I don't know why the others Thor movies kind of get so thrashed and trashed in the grand scheme of things when it comes to these movies, because I've enjoyed them a lot. The Dark World was really good. I really did enjoy it. So I'm just excited. I'm ready to watch it now. I wasn't there in Hall H with you guys to see all the scenes that they probably showed you, and they probably showed you a little bit more than they did with the trailer that they released for us. But I'm telling you, I'm super excited to see this movie. We get to see a part of Hulk that we haven't seen before, where he's having a conversation with Thor. So he's actually talking. That's something I'm looking forward to seeing and hearing. How much of that is he going to really do? Because when we first see him on screen, he's kind of still that rage machine that he is Hulk. And now it's him sitting there next to Thor, having that conversation and the humor, the banter back and forth. It just looks fun, and it's got me hyped. I'm ready to watch the movie. I will definitely be there opening night, and I can't wait. I'm just really excited. I think it's going to be awesome. And I think Bobby's right. It's just going to be one amazing setup that is going to lead us into Infinity War, which is what, we're all excited for. I'm particularly really excited for. I know Bobby is as well. And I'm just looking forward to it. I just can't wait.
Michelle.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm with you and Yasha. Like, I will say, like, I'm watching this trailer and all I'm thinking is, I don't know if I want to watch this trailer. I don't want to see more. Like, I'm good with this as it is, but I'm watching this trailer. I'm going, oh my God, this looks so good. And it's reminding me more and more of, the comics, like, I just feel like and I'm saying this, I feel like this is a little bit more true to the actual comics itself, and I'm saying that because even though I love the first two films, and I'm with you, like, I feel like the Thor films kind of get shoved back to the back burner when it comes to all the Marvel films. I really love the Thor films. I just feel like this is even more true to the character, to the comics, and how it kind of all unravels in a way. And just the look of it, the feel of it, it's just fun. Like, I'm watching this, I'm just like, oh my God, this looks like just a crap load of fun. Like, this is going to be a really awesome movie to sit through. And I don't want to see any more. Because I want to go into it, and I just want to enjoy the shit out of it because it looks awesome. Yeah. Like, I can't get over how good it looks.
In terms of the looks, too, I'm curious in particular to see how there's these shots in the trailer of Hela and these people flying in on these horses, and they look like paintings. There's something about the aesthetic of those shots in particular compared to everything else, and I'm like, it looks really awesome, and I'm curious to see how that connects to everything else, because it really does look like a moving painting for some reason. Yeah. Which is just awesome. I don't know. It just looks really incredible. And Cate Blanchett looks so fucking good in this role. Like, I can't wait to see her in this movie.
I'm a sucker for the Kates, let me tell you.
Bobby and I already had this conversation on our own. I'm going to completely put it out there. Like, Cate Blanchett she's a beautiful woman. But I will say, as an actress, she's not someone that I've been like, oh, she's hot. Like, she's gorgeous. There's no doubt. But there's something about the way she looks in this character. Like, she's hot in this movie. Like, I don't know if it's this goth like look she has going on or something. Like, as Hela, like, I don't know what it is, but I'm all in. But I don't know. I'm excited.
Yeah. No. It's the thing is I mean, I'll be honest. Cate Blanchett can do no wrong for me. I mean, realistically, I've seen her in almost absolutely every single thing she's done, and the woman cannot do wrong to me. Like, I full-fledgedly believe that at this point. And I've always thought she looked beautiful. Like,
oh, absolutely, I'm not denying that. Like,
whatever.
Oh,
she's just
whatever,
now getting hot to you.
Oh, please.
God, look. Anyways. No, but I think seeing this trailer just reinforces. As I was saying, this trailer reinforces, I think, Marvel's trying to kind of get back to core basics in a way. I feel like they kind of got away from it a little bit with the Avengers films and the last Captain America. I think they kind of tried something different, and they're realizing that's not what we're looking for, and now trying to get back to basics again. And I think this film is encompassing that as a whole. And I think this is probably going to be the thing that, if anybody has walked away from the Marvel storyline and what's happening with Marvel films, this will be the one that's going to help pull them back in, I think. And I don't want to see another thing. I really don't. Like, and I'm saying that I really don't. I want to just go and enjoy the shit out of this film.
I would have been good not seeing anything else. Of course, I was excited to be in Hall H and see this stuff.
Yes.
Sure, it was fun, but
I mean, if you had to drag me in there,
fine. I guess I'll watch all these fun scenes.
It. Jesus. If you're gonna like pry my eyes open while I'm watching, I guess I'll have to watch it. But yeah.
Moving on from Thor, the other big panel for Marvel was Black Panther, which I'm actually forgetting. When does Black Panther due to hit theaters? Bobby, do you know?
That movie.
It's in February. I don't know the exact date, but I know it's February.
Oh, it's February.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. God bless that movie.
First of all, yeah, I am pumped.
Skip
sorry.
over stuff? I'm sorry. I was just saying, did you skip over some things, or are you going to come double back and come around to them?
I guess I'm.
There's so much.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, no, because I didn't remember specifically the order in which they showed things, but I remember they talked also about Ant-Man and Wasp.
Well, that was the first thing they talked about was Ant-Man.
Okay, well, because you started with the Thor thing, I thought you were going in order of like what they talked about, or if you.
I will come back to Ant-Man.
Okay. I just don't want to skip over any Marvel stuff for the people out there listening.
So Black Panther. Yeah, I mean Black Panther, the trailer we've seen out to the public, and it looks great. It's a trailer too that the more I watch it, the more I like what I see. And in the panel that we saw a whole fight scene, and then they kind of went into that to basically a montage of stuff, which basically felt like a new trailer. I mean, to my understanding, I don't think they've released any of this stuff yet, and it doesn't disappoint. It looks incredibly good. It was also a lot of fun watching the cast watch it, or at least the reaction afterwards to it, because it appeared, and from what we heard, they hadn't watched any of that yet, and they were just so excited about what they were seeing. In fact, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Bobby, like as Chadwick Boseman was like walking off stage, he almost looked like he was like tearing up.
Yeah,
like how happy with what he had seen. And it's so exciting to see how excited they are about the movie they've made, and it looks so good. It looks incredibly good. I really hope this movie lives up to its trailers, because we all know that there have been good trailers out there, and then we see movies that are like, oh man, that wasn't so great. And I really hope that's not the case here, and I don't think it's gonna be. I'll be shocked if it is, because this Black Panther looks special.
It does. So. I mean, just to piggyback on what you're saying, everything that I've read in terms of any of the interviews from the cast and them talking about this movie just really seems to me like they have this nailed down. And when we were in Hall H, Ryan Coogler was talking about how he was really excited last year when he got introduced as the director of Black Panther, but he was at the same time kind of bummed because he didn't have anything to show anyone, because they had just really started to get everything formulated. And he was talking about how in the years past, he remembers coming to Hall H before and sitting in the back, way in the back, looking at everything and loving the footage that was brought there. And so this year he didn't want to disappoint everybody and really wanted to put together something special for people who were able to camp out and stay and come in and watch, all this stuff that all the studios are showing. And it was for him something special to be able to come back and bring this back and share with everybody. And you just can tell that he nailed the tone. He looks like he really has a good visual style and sense of how to film action, and just everything about the characters look intriguing and interesting, down to their costume designs, down to the locations. Just everything about it just looks very, very special. And it just looks like it's something, once again, that Marvel keeps, I don't know, it's a very weird thing to me that Marvel seems to be first in doing certain things, but then sometimes I'll read articles and it seems like they try and trivialize what Marvel has done to this point, and saying like, oh, it's kind of cookie cutter and they kind of take the same template and do this, but it's really not. Like there's definitely similarities in things that happen in a sense, but really, if you think about some of these movies from movie to movie, they're different types of genre type movies inside a comic book movie, and doing things that no other studio out there is doing. And now it's like, because they make it seem so easy, people want to sort of shortchange them on what they're doing. And once again, like, this Black Panther looks different than anything else that they've done up to date. And so I think that the way that they keep evolving and keep trying to mix it up and do and bring different things and still retain that comic book spirit and element has really been a joy and a wonder to see, and it makes you excited. And that's why when Marvel comes out and presents the last panel on a Saturday at Hall H, people are waiting for it because there's that excitement level of what are they going to give us, because they usually bring us something very special that'll have us talking and have us anticipating when it finally comes out.
Yeah, I actually would be remiss to not say something about that too, Bobby. Like, I remember being in Hall H last year and listening to the same speech, and it was the emotional connection that he had to talking about Black Panther, and just saying, he's like, it was just a year or two ago that I was in the back. I remember staying out late, getting to the line at Hall H line super early. I felt that he really understood the connection that fans have with products that, you know, they're creating and that they're working on, and remembers that excitement and wanting to do that. And he really exhibited that wholeheartedly in that. And it's something that I haven't forgotten, because I felt that he was like, he just had this deeper understanding and was like, yeah, I remember standing in the back, like way, way in the back, and just really excited about watching everything and being a part of this. And now I'm up here talking about this, and you guys are excited to hear what I'm working on. So I don't want to disappoint you. I want to make sure that the fanboys that are out there, that I was and that I am, still understand and want to do what's, you know, have that connection and make it a good product for everybody to really enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, he's openly admitted that he's been in Hall H as a fan. I think sitting in the back of the room, I think said both years in a row, like he was there. He gets what it's like to be a fan and how excited he is to be like now up on stage, like talking about something like this. Like it's a cool story for him.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it looked really good. And then, of course, the other big thing that they showed us, and there's some other stuff too we'll get to, but the other big thing that they showed us was, I assume, the same footage that they showed at D23 for Avengers Infinity War. They showed us, a lot of footage from that. And, of course, everyone was super excited to see it. And I will say I walked away from it kind of like, okay. Like, I don't know. And I guess this plays into what I kind of hinted at earlier, where I guess I maybe am a little burned out on these bigger superhero films that are trying to cram so many characters in. Because I was so excited about Black Panther and so excited about what we saw from Thor. And for as little as we saw from Aquaman, I really can't wait for that. But then something like this, I mean, don't get me wrong, the footage looks cool, but I have to admit, my feeling is, okay, I mean, hopefully the movie's good. I didn't watch it and get like super pumped. It just feels like almost like it's trying to be too big. And of course, I mean, we're pumping a lot of Marvel characters in this movie, and it's Thanos, and this is everything we've been building to, right? Like everything we've been doing in this MCU is all leading up to this, and it still almost feels like maybe too much. And too, like Thanos itself, like I get he looks different in that he doesn't have his armor on, and I know that, you know, Bobby, maybe you can touch on that. There's some stuff that the directors have talked about why he looks that way, and it makes sense. But also just the look of him from what we've seen so far in the MCU, what we saw at the very end of the original Avengers, and what we've seen in Guardians of the Galaxy, where we've seen Thanos, he still looks even more different. And I get that he kind of looks like Josh Brolin, but I don't know. He doesn't look right to me.
Like, you think they've evolved him too much to be more humanized?
No, I wouldn't say humanized is the right way to put it. It just, something about his face. I don't know. It just looks.
It's evolved too much in the time frame. Like,
maybe it's hard to say, and it's especially hard to say if you haven't seen it, you know. And it's hard to explain, but right. I definitely have a reaction to it that I'm like, it looks too animated, maybe. And I also get that it's early in the process. I'm sure a lot of these effects still have a lot of work to be done. So don't get me wrong. I'm very open to it being just great when we get there. But I don't know. I don't know what to think of it. But in the end, of course, I can't wait for the movie, and I hope it's good. And it'll be interesting to see a lot of these characters interact with each other, and, you know, characters that we haven't seen yet interact with other characters in the MCU, like Guardians of the Galaxy. But it's hard for me to get excited about it. I mean, I'm way more pumped for Black Panther and Thor Ragnarok and some other stuff than I am this. And I fear that it's going to be too many characters and too much going on. And I hope I'm wrong, because I've read some Thanos stuff in Marvel comics, and I'm really excited to finally really see him in a movie and really see him like have dialogue and really be involved, not just a little snippet cameo.
Right.
But I don't know what to think of it. Bobby, what do you think?
No, I was blown away by the footage. I loved it.
It's like night and day.
Yeah.
We got yin and yang over here.
Well, it's okay. So here's the thing. Everything David said in terms of things like, he's like, don't get me wrong, this, and this. Those are the things that I'm pulling towards and really making me extremely excited about it. Like the fact that it is Thanos' story, and I do get to see more of him, and the fact that I will get to see the Guardians interacting with Thor or Rocket Raccoon with Tony Stark, and just to see what that conversation looks like. Or you see in the trailer that they showed, there's a little scene with Doctor Strange interacting with Peter Quill and doing some things, or Spider-Man. It's just like the culmination of all these things finally coming together in a big movie. It deserves to be a big movie. And even the Russos have said this is like going to be at least 2:45, possibly more, in terms of how long it's going to run. 2 hours 45 minutes. It's like it deserves that. And I was literally just reading earlier today how Josh Brolin had just sort of sent out a tweet saying that they're going to be filming Avengers 4 in I think it was China or Tokyo or somewhere, but basically confirming that Thanos is in part 4. So I'm like,
right.
Great. Because at first they were making it seem like maybe they were going to be two separate movies and not connected, and maybe they take care of the threat of Thanos all in the third film. But and now it seems like maybe not. So that's great. I think to be able to finally see all this come together is just going to look so awesome on screen. And I just trust the Russo brothers complicitly. I mean, they've earned it to say that they were able to put that many characters in the Civil War movie that they did and have it come out good. And for you to hear some of the actors talk about how, there's a scene or there's a part in the movie where there's a 30-minute action scene that is like the airport scene times 100. And it's like, yes, please give me all of that and let me see this movie multiple times already, because I can't wait. I've been waiting for this since they first showed Thanos in that first Avengers movie at the end credits. So, yeah, I mean, I was excited and pumped up. And when you just see Thanos talking, and then you see him have Thor's head in his hand like he's gonna pop it like a grape, and it's just like, oh, these things are just so exciting to me. Seeing him like have the gauntlet on and like he crushes the moon and throws it at the Avengers. It's just like I'm getting all excited just talking about it. That's how much I love that trailer. So
I feel like we should have had like a spoilers warning before you started talking, Bobby. Oh my god.
They can see it. I mean, it's like it's going to be in a trailer. What, are people not going to watch the trailer? I mean, I guess they could. But
well, you guys saw the trailer. The rest of the world has not
yet, but
they are going to put out a trailer for it. So, and they said as soon as they can, but they're still working on some things for the trailer, because what they showed us was just like footage that was sort of pieced together. It's not an actual trailer that they showed us. So, I don't know. I don't consider it spoiler. But
right? No, I don't. I agree with you. Yeah, no, I wish I was excited about it. I'm just not.
I don't understand that. I really don't, because I'm excited for it too. I'm with you, Bobby. Like, this has been the culmination of everything that we've been building for and that we've talked about, and that each little tidbit or 15-second clip at the end of the movies that kind of just pieces together what's going on, where is it going, what's happening. I'm hyped. I didn't even see a clear picture of the trailer, and I've read articles about it. I've read breakdowns of it, and I am so excited to see this movie. It's just, I feel like it's going to be awesome. And you're right, Bobby. The Russo brothers definitely have earned our trust when it comes to this sort of thing, because they did a damn good job with Civil War, having all those characters in there minus two, basically going up against each other and fighting, and all the action that they provided with us. And I mean, I loved Civil War. I still watch Civil War, and I'm just excited to see Infinity War and see where we're going.
But see, and maybe that's part of my problem too, is because I definitely fall in the camp that I wasn't really in love with Civil War. Like, I'm not saying it's bad, but I have my problems with it. So maybe that's part of it. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah. But again, I mean, of course, since it's the big culmination of everything, it's not like I'm not going to see it. Of course, I mean, I want it to be good, but I think too, just watching it, like watching the footage we saw, just felt so big, and it felt like it didn't have any, like, you watch stuff for Black Panther, and it feels like it has style, and this feels like it just feels like such a big kind of, I don't know how to put this in the words. Like it's just this kind of, it's kind of the result of everything, and it has no style. It's just almost like it's so corporate almost. It feels like, again, too big. That's my worry. And again, I say this and hoping in the end that it's great. I can just be honest that I don't have the excitement you guys do. I wish I did. And yeah, Marvel also did a couple other things. They started the whole panel off by actually giving us this cool little video that they put together for Ant-Man and the Wasp. And it was this little piece they put together with Paul Rudd and Michael Pena that was kind of actually like almost like they were explaining to someone the entire MCU and how it all worked out, and it was quite entertaining. The person they were explaining it to in the end was Michelle Pfeiffer, who was cast. They revealed in the next film. Who was she, Bobby? I don't remember off the top of my head.
Janet Van Dyne.
Don't give me that look, Michelle. Like, you labeled me the DC person. I don't know who these people are. she's looking at me like I don't know who Steven Spielberg is.
I won't lie. I definitely gave him that face.
You definitely gave me that face.
I definitely gave that. I just saw that. Are you shitting me right now?
Really,
David?
Come on, you've never watched Stranger Things?
Yeah, so she's supposed to be Janet Van Dyne, who is, as anyone who kind of follows the comics know, that is Hank Pym's wife, and in the movie it would be the original Wasp. And so she was lost in the quantum, I think they call it the quantum, I don't know, quantum field or quantum zone. I don't think there's something, but I know it's quantum something. But so they have finally cast her, and they kind of revealed that within the little short back and forth dialogue that Michael Pena and Paul Rudd were having. So it was kind of cool to see like them go through, and as they're going through, they're actually showing different scenes of the movies and different little visual cues that sort of are informing the audience as well, as if, like you don't know, but it turns out that they were really explaining it to Michelle Pfeiffer. And then who was it that came out? Evangeline Lilly kind of comes out and says, "Oh, I'm so glad you're here. It's been," what she said? Did she say it's been like a sausage fest or something?
Something like that. Yeah, sausage party or something.
It's funny. Yeah.
Can I just tell you, like, ever since they made this announcement, Evangeline Lilly has like had a field day on her Instagram. She's stupid excited that Michelle Pfeiffer is playing her mother, basically. Well, she is. She's playing her mother in this film. And she's like, I feel like every day there's a mention of like how awesome Michelle Pfeiffer is and how excited she is for this and how she's geeking out. Like, she's throwing up photos of like Catwoman and stuff from like, oh God, what is it? The Witches of Eastwick. Like, she's throwing up all these like old photos. I kid you not, Evangeline Lilly is so stupid happy that this is happening, and like it makes me more stupid happy that this is happening. I'm like, I think it's a really cool thing. I think it's a really awesome pick. I will say it'll be interesting to see how they do any kind of quote unquote throwback footage between like Michael Douglas and Michelle Pfeiffer, because even between the two of them, there's a big age difference. And so to see them kind of, I'm curious to see how they'll kind of mesh that out in a way and kind of blend it in and make it all kind of worthwhile in any kind of, you know, flashback scenes or what have you. But no, it's so exciting. I'm so happy again.
And one of the other things that they had showed was they didn't show footage from the movie necessarily, but it was like animatronics and some looked like some storyboards of what some of the action looks like. And there was like a scene where there's like a little car. I think it was miniaturized, and it was, I don't know, I think it was on the streets or something, and then it rolls underneath another car, and then it gets big and flips over the car that it rolled under. Yeah. And then you just see a lot of different type of action scenes. And then I think at the end there was a live shot of a building, and then all of a sudden you see Ant-Man in his giant man form peek from behind the building, and he's like looking out into the city sort of thing, and he kind of peeks back into or ducks back into behind the building, that kind of thing. And I remember one of the scenes or storyboards or whatever art boards showed Michael Douglas in the costume as well, so it looks like he'll be suiting up in this movie also. So it looked pretty good. And there's like one other bit of announcement too, was that Lawrence Fishburne is going to be in it playing Bill Foster. And the significance of that is that character is like a scientist who worked with Hank Pym, and he was able to develop a formula for himself to grow big, and he calls himself Goliath in the comics, but he doesn't shrink down, so he only gets big. But it's kind of significant that, hey, maybe they're going to play around with that idea with Lawrence Fishburne. So that should be kind of cool too. And the fact that Lawrence Fishburne, I don't know if he's still doing anything over there with DC as far as being Perry White in the Superman movies, but or even just in that universe. But now to see him sort of crossed over to Marvel stuff, that should be kind of interesting.
I mean, you have me at Lawrence Fishburne. I mean, that's really, you really don't need to say anything else. You'd be like, so there's this movie, it's coming out, it's got Lawrence Fishburne. I'd be like, all right, I need no more explanation. I'm pretty much good to go at that point. Like, I'm in. But it's cool to see him kind of crossing the different comic fields, I guess you could say. Yeah. It's awesome. It's all very good. I'm very excited. I don't know why I'm so excited for Ant-Man and the Wasp. I am. I really, really am. And I don't know if it's because Evangeline Lilly is on her Instagram every day showing us her Wasp workouts, and she's excited for Michelle Pfeiffer, and then like Paul Rudd's on there, and he's just like, this is the best movie ever. And I'm like, yep. I'm super excited for. I
started to watch one of those videos yesterday, I think it was, and she's like something I think for breakfast, and I was like, all right. So then it was hashtag Wasps like breakfast or whatever. Wasp, yeah. And then she whips out a thing of Brussels sprouts. I'm like, nope, I'm good.
She does the so it's funny because she does the craziest stuff for her like shakes that she makes. Like she'll do like a video for her shakes, then she'll do a video for the workout, and then she'll do like a random photo or a random video. Like I feel like she has a 3-phase during the day, so you have to kind of follow her. But like, yeah, no, she's like Wasp workout. She's like, today's arms day, and she'll do arms, and then she'll do legs, and then she'll do core, and then she'll be like, today is martial arts day for Wasp workout, and then she'll do martial arts stuff. And so it's all, every day's a little bit different. And then she's playing with shakes because she really kind of, it's funny just following her, seeing her, how she wants to like do like a whole fitness and health blog and way of life. But so she's experimenting with shakes. And so she's constantly like, ingredients 1 through 5 sound amazing. And then she'll throw in like this whole like out in left field ingredient. And you're like, oh, Jesus God, that's going to be horrific. And then she'll drink it. And she's like, it's earthy. You're like, you weren't expecting that either, were you?
Right.
It's funny to watch her, but what I love watching her on Instagram is that she is excited to have this role, to be in these films, to be involved in the MCU, and to see that excitement transfer to her regular life, and she's building it all together. It makes me excited. And I mean, I loved the first film, and I feel like the second film, I literally cannot wait for it, because I mean, as soon as I saw those after credit scenes from the first one, I was like, oh my god, like I got stupid excited. I think it's just because, at least for me, I get to see more females in more dominant roles, and I feel like it's slowly coming finally. I feel like our time is coming finally, and I'm crazy excited for it.
Well, nice segue, Michelle, because speaking of females in dominant roles, the other thing they talked about was Captain Marvel. And of course, there's really nothing to see from this yet at all, except for concept art, which is cool to see. But they revealed that Captain Marvel will actually be somewhat of a prequel to this universe, and that it will take place in the 90s, which I think is really cool. Samuel L. Jackson will be in the movie as Nick Fury, which is cool. The Skrulls will be in this movie, which is cool, and that's a lot of the concept art that we saw. So yeah, I think it's all pretty awesome. I'm pretty pumped about it.
They revealed a lot during D23. They showed a ton, and there was a lot of talk about her costuming, because the costume really depicts kind of her era of what's happening. And so when they saw that at D23, they were realizing it was a mix between two different kind of concepts and the eras. And so it kind of led to more speculation, and then they said they were going to reveal more during Comic-Con, which they did. And it's just, I don't know. I'm crazy. Like, it's an actress that I love, and then this storyline that is just, I know nothing about Captain Marvel, and so I've been slowly kind of learning more and more and more about her. And the more and more I learn, the more I'm like, why during the 90s when I was a child did I never read these comics? And I just want to like slap myself. I'm like, why was I not reading these? Like, she sounds amazing, and the more and more that comes out about this film, I just get stupid excited about this film. I cannot begin to tell you. Like, the more and more that happens to pop out, like, I feel like every day there's something in my feed. I'm like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. I'll stop now. I'm fangirling out over here. Don't mind me. Just fangirling out about Captain Marvel.
Sorry, Bobby. It sounded like you were going to say something.
No, I was just going to say, I think if there was one moment within the whole day or whatever that I had my true geek out moment, was when when Kevin Feige was like, what I'm about to say next, it will probably only be maybe a certain portion of the people in this room that will understand what I'm talking about when I say it, but we're going to have the Skrulls in this movie. And it was like, I think he had said it's set in the 90s and we're going to have the Skrulls in this movie. And I, at that point, just wanted to squeal like a little girl, because I knew exactly the weight of that, the relevance, in the sense that the Skrulls are a huge part of the Marvel universe in terms of an enemy that usually takes the combined effort of not just the Avengers, but the Fantastic Four and the X-Men or whoever to fight them, because they have their own planet, and they essentially are either involved in the Kree-Skrull War, or they're involved in just a war themselves with the other heroes of Earth. And the thing that's most significant about the Skrulls are the fact that they're shapeshifters. And so there's the fact that it takes place in the 90s, and they're shapeshifters. There was a crossover run that came out, I'd say maybe within the last 5-6 years, called Secret Invasion. And in that storyline, you find out like that a lot of people who had been heroes were actually Skrulls all this time, and no one knew. And it becomes this whole big thing, like who's actually real and what have they done with the people that were the real people. And so it's like, it sets up all these possibilities, knowing that you introduce the Skrull into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So it's a huge deal. And just the concept art that they showed of Brie Larson in the suit looking like Captain Marvel just looks awesome, showing her fighting against some Skrulls. I mean, it just looks like that's going to be an awesome movie, and I really can't wait for it. And if anyone out there is interested in the character, I'd say a good run to look at would be Kelly Sue DeConnick's first run with Captain Marvel. And that was really what sort of, I think, revitalized the character and made her popular as she is now currently in comics. So yeah, that would definitely be a a good one to pick up. But I am super, super, super excited now to see Captain Marvel, even more so than I already was. This is like just when he announced all that stuff, it just hit my radar as like shooting right up towards the top of the movies I'm looking forward to when they come out.
All right. We're running out of time, but we got a lot more to talk about, so we'll try to run through it as quickly as we can. But another thing that happened in Hall H on Saturday, and I will say right off the top that this, I think, was the best trailer I had seen the entire weekend, and it was the Stranger Things 2 trailer. It was so well put together, and whoever edited this fucking trailer definitely deserves that round of applause I just heard.
That was me, man. I'm with you on that 100%.
First, I'll say about the panel. The panel was moderated by Patton Oswalt, which was great.
It's awesome.
And he's great, but at the same time, the panel was extremely frustrating because they felt like they couldn't talk about anything. Like, he would ask them a question, and every response was, well, I don't know what I can say. And they would try to say something. And it was like, why are we even bothering with the fucking panel? Because you guys feel like you can't talk.
And I get why.
And I get why, too. I don't fault them for that, but it was frustrating to watch as a panel, other than Patton Oswalt being himself, and he's always great. And all the kids are awesome, and it's fun to see them in person, sure. But other than that, I was like, come on, this is kind of annoying. But then they showed this trailer, which I think that they showed it to us twice, and God, it's so good. And same thing like we were saying with Black Panther and watching them react to it. I don't think these kids had seen this trailer yet until they saw it in Hall H, and watching their reactions to it was a lot of fun. But God, that trailer is so good. That's definitely a trailer I could just watch over and over and over again.
So good. It's so well done. I just want to be like, who the hell, like, if there's an awards like time frame that comes up for people that make trailers,
should be way up there.
Totally won, hands down. And I say that, and there's some good trailers out there right now.
Yeah.
This trailer was just done so perfectly well. Like, it was just put together and edited. The music, the sound, the timings, the blackouts, the fade-ins, so well edited. God bless whoever decided to, basically stay up for probably 48 hours straight to do this.
Yeah.
God bless them, because it's awesome. It is one of the best well-done trailers I've seen in a long, long ass time.
And then just the trailer and the show and how it looks, just
the feel.
It encapsulates everything I love about fall and Halloween and that genre. Like, it's just like I was watching it and I'm like, oh, it feels so perfect.
Did it give you the warm fuzzies inside?
It just makes me so happy.
You know, warm and fuzzy and cozy inside.
It gave me goosebumps too.
Yeah, man.
I mean, it gave me goosebumps as well. Like, I mean, just to echo what you said, David, I think we texted back and forth about it a bit.
Yeah, we did a little bit.
And it was just like, I was in agreement with you. I flat out said, I was like, that's the best trailer I've seen in a long time for anything. Like, that trailer right there did it. I was just like, wow, that was awesome. Down to the voiceover work with Vincent Price from Thriller, just
right,
making it creepy, making it subtle. Just down to the splatters of blood, and then him saying blood at that very right moment. Like, the guy, whoever edited that, the person who edited it was pure brilliance, just genius when they put it through. It was so good, so good.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah, Netflix is just patting themselves on the back right now. Like, yeah, good job, us.
We got this.
We own it. It's ours.
So I've already determined that, like, this will probably be the first show period on Netflix that I'm already off on Fridays when it drops. I think it's the 27th of October. I will definitely be hoping that maybe someone can watch the kids, and I'm watching that whole season.
Like, we're starting like 10 a.m., right?
Yeah.
Like, we're gonna.
Oh, earlier than that. We're gonna have to.
We're gonna have to get breakfast.
Yeah. Well, I'm watching that whole season that day. That's happening. Yeah. There's gonna be a binge. A marathon, most certainly. Bobby, any thoughts on it before we move on?
Yeah, I mean, I felt the same way. It's just everything about it was put together so well. It just touches on all those touchstones of things that if you're grew up with a lot of the stuff from the first scene when you see that they're playing Dragon's Lair. I mean, I just remember being a kid playing that in an arcade. It's just everything was perfect about that trailer. And when you hear Vincent Price come in, I was like, oh. And then I was like,
the whole room reacted as soon as you heard the Vincent Price, and everyone immediately knew it was from Thriller, and all of Hall H reacted to that immediately. It was great. Anyway, sorry.
And at first you couldn't tell by the sound bed that's what the music was because of the way it sounded at first. But then it slowly starts to reveal itself, and you're like, oh, they are playing Thriller. And it's just like, it's so perfect. It's just absolutely perfect. And yeah, I want to say, I think the studios did a really good job this year in terms of being able to have trailers ready for people who weren't in Hall H to see, and then still have some additional special stuff for the people who were in Hall H. Because last year it felt like even if there were some trailers being shown, that stuff wasn't being shown online. But this year it seemed like there was more inclusiveness to where it was like, okay, we'll give something for the whole world in general for who can't be in this room. But then we'll also give some special stuff to the people who are here so that they feel like they kind of got their quote unquote money's worth to be in Hall H that day. So I absolutely love the fact that they really did a good balancing act of having something that we can kind of all share together, like these trailers that came out for these things. And then we still had some stuff that we kind of can talk about for the people who were in the room at that day.
Yeah, I agree.
So speaking of 80s throwbacks and really good trailers.
Yeah, the very very first panel of the day was Ready Player One, which, yes, you're very excited about. Michelle, you've read the book. Bobby, you've read the book.
I have.
Steven Spielberg is directing this film. And Michelle, you're very excited. I'll let you go first.
Well, I mean, I've got to say, first of all, the fact that David and Bobby were in the exact same room as Steven Spielberg. I can't. Yeah, I mean, I want to take a moment. Beautiful. I really, if there was one moment, if they could have said you can only go into Hall H, Michelle, for 1 minute on Saturday, it would have been to have just been in the same room as Steven Spielberg. I would have my little Dawson Leary inside of me would have just lost his shit. I cannot explain to you how much that man, I revere Steven Spielberg. It's ridiculous. Anyways, so the point of all this is that he revealed the trailer for Ready Player One.
By the way, side note, I can't imagine if he had walked up to the IMDb boat.
Oh my God!
To watch Michelle fly over the fence. Sorry, go on.
Let me tell you, when I saw Denis Villeneuve, I almost lost. I was shaking as I was taking his photo, and I was like, "Hello, Mr. Villeneuve," and I was like, "How are you today, sir?" I was so and it's hilarious because I was the only person around that even knew who he was, and I was losing my mind. I thought I was bleeding out of my ears. So I do not know what I would do if I was in the same room as Steven Spielberg. Anyways, so Ready Player One. Yeah, I read this young adult book a while ago, and then I think because I enjoyed it so much, I think, Bobby, you wound up listening to the audio version of it, which is narrated by
Will Wheaton.
Will Wheaton, which is just awesome. If you read the book, you'll understand why it's cool that Will Wheaton is narrating the book. Anyways, so yeah, this novel, this storyline takes place in the future, and it's this person who is obsessed with late 70s, 80s, even slightly early 90s gaming and pop culture and just how it is. And in the future, we live in a world that's not so spectacular. And so to get away from it, we go into a virtual reality world called the Oasis. And in the Oasis, you can be whoever you want to be. You can do whatever you want to do. You can wrap yourself around whatever you want to in your visions. And so watching this trailer and seeing the Iron Giant walk up behind him and seeing all these wonderful things of my childhood and from this book pop
Light
up.
Cycles.
Oh my God.
The DeLorean.
Freddy Krueger. Oh my God. Dude, so I saw this trailer in the theater the other day for a movie that I was watching. And I'm watching this trailer in the theater, and I've watched the trailer like 5 times already at this point, and I'm watching it in the theater, and I'm just losing my shit in the theater. Just like, I cannot begin to explain to you, 1, how good of a storyline this is, but 2, visually what I'm seeing, I'm loving on so many levels. And I'm so excited for it. Like, I remember like when I hadn't watched the trailer when it dropped earlier in the day on Saturday. And at the end of the day, David's like, you got to watch it. So we sat there and we watched on my little like iPad mini. And I'm sitting there and I'm just going, and I'm gurling out and losing my shit as we're watching it. And he's just like, he has no reference because David never read the books or hasn't read the book yet. And he hasn't listened to the audio book yet. And I'm losing it because I'm seeing things pop up in the book. And I'm just like, oh my God. Oh my God. And there's just things I'm like, oh my God, that's done so well. Oh, that represents so well. I'm glad they switched this out and interpreted this into it. And I think Steven's making really good decisions as far as what he's putting in and what he's taking out. And I think he's making the substitutions. I think he's making it because it makes it more relevant for the general public, because in the book there's stuff that's related to at a whole different level. And I'm ranting on like a little 5-year-old, but it's good. I like what I see. I'm very excited for this film. I cannot wait. Visually, it looks amazing. Storyline so far from what I see looks pretty spot on. And the little changes that Steven's making, I'm super on board with. And I think anybody who grew up in the 80s and the 90s, they're going to love it. It's just, it's exciting. It's fun. And it's youthful, and yeah, it brings you back to a time frame when, you know, the weight of the world wasn't on your shoulders. But yeah, that's what I got.
That's it.
Bobby, you're the other person who's read this book. I'll go to you next. What did you think?
I mean, I have nothing further, Your Honor. The defense rests their case. I mean, Michelle pretty much said everything. I don't think I can offer anything else additional to that. It was pretty awesome, and can't wait to see it all in its glory.
I mean, I'm not geeking out
at all. Yasha, do you have anything to add?
I actually don't. I haven't read this book, but after hearing Michelle talk about it, I feel like I really need to.
Oh.
So I might actually try and read this book before I see this movie.
It's a young adult story novel.
Is
so
it?
It's a quick read. I mean, I knocked that bad boy out pretty fast.
It's funny you say that because I just downloaded the audiobook, but I haven't started it yet. I downloaded 2 audiobooks this week on Audible, Star Wars Inferno Squad, which I started, and then Ready Player One. I'm like, all right, I'm going to listen to this. And it's actually, of all the audiobooks I've downloaded so far, it's the longest.
Well, it'll be worth your time.
I'm excited to listen to it. I've heard enough praise from you guys and from the world basically about this book that I'm excited to listen to it, and especially listen to Will Wheaton read it. And the trailer looks great. I mean, it looks good, and it looks like the Steven Spielberg I love, you know. And I'm not saying that I haven't loved the more recent work from him. It's been good. I mean, I've missed some more stuff of his recently, I'll fully admit, but it looks like that Steven Spielberg that I cherish from the 80s.
Yes.
And it has that look about it that I'm like, cool, I'm totally down with this. And being, you mentioned the late 70s, 80s, early 90s. I'm like, yeah, that's my childhood right there.
Right.
It looks great. As someone who has not read the book, I can say, watching this trailer, I'm definitely excited about the movie.
I mean, visually, I feel like looking at this, it's Spielberg going back to his core. I feel like the last few years, while has been nice, there's been so much focus on very serious, very dramatic context in films that he's done. Like, everything has been very, I almost say thriller, suspense. It's very suspenseful. It's very drama filled, and it's good and it's exciting. But I feel like this is bringing me back to Spielberg in the 80s and in the 90s. This is Spielberg that I grew up with, and to have him direct a film that is basically encapsulating how I grew up and the pop culture I grew up with.
Right.
Just makes me even more excited. I can't. It just I'm in a love fest over here. Basically, is what's happening. So that's where I am.
You enjoy it.
I definitely feel like this is a good palate cleanser for him in terms of, like you said, he's been doing a lot of serious movies, Oscar contention type movies, and this is him getting back to that fun, kid-spirited type movie before we see, I think his next one is The Papers after that with Tom Hanks, I think. So it'll be a nice little palate cleanser of something like that is right up his alley that he should be able to really do well, and seeing him do that and get back to that maybe helps rejuvenate his spirit a little bit as well in terms of having fun with movies. So yeah, I can't wait to see how it looks when he puts it on screen.
All right. Well, real quick, since we're talking Hall H on Saturday, there's not really anything to talk about, but Blade Runner was also had a panel for that in Warner Brothers, and they showed the trailer that had already been released to the public, along with a scene. We got to see a scene from the movie. The movie looks great. I'm excited about it. I don't know if anybody has anything they want to say.
Who is the director on that film again?
Yes, your favorite director, Michelle.
One of. Hey, he spoke to me.
He did.
He told me hello.
I don't mean to sound like I'm not a fan. I loved Arrival. I can't wait to see Blade Runner. But I also need to go back and watch Blade Runner again. It's been a long time since I've watched Blade Runner. So I will definitely be rewatching that movie before.
And I'm sorry, what spectacular weekend does that film come out on?
Birthday weekend?
It just might be my birthday weekend. Hey. I love my birthday weekend. I feel like there's always good films on my birthday weekend. I don't know why that always seems to happen, but there always is at least minimally 2 films on my birthday weekend that always seem to be like, like the kickoff to fall or the winter time, and like it's kind of like the thing. And I'm always like, God bless it. I love my birthday weekend. It's always the best.
But unless
go
ahead, Bobby.
Sorry, dude. I was just gonna say I do like his confidence in him making this movie, because I believe he had made a quote was saying, someone asked him why did he decide to do this movie, and he was saying basically he didn't want anybody else to F it up.
Yeah, he did say that.
That
was a great response.
God
that's big
him.
words. So you better deliver, because that's some, you're basically saying you didn't want anyone else to touch this because you didn't think they could do it right. So yeah, you got to deliver when you say something like that.
I also liked his response to somebody asking him about Ridley Scott's involvement in it. And yeah, he kind of responded with, it was basically great that he stayed away.
Right.
Hands off.
And he was hands off, and it allowed him to just make a movie on his own and not he's like, I can't work as a director with somebody over my shoulder basically going, no, I need you to do this, do that. And yeah, it was...
He basically said that in the interview with Kevin Smith on the boat. But
right.
I mean, that was kind of one of the questions he kind of asked, and he answered it not the same way, but basically that in that general tone, basically saying, no, I'm super glad I directed this movie the way I wanted to direct it and the way I wanted it to go out. And yeah, it was, and it was funny. I felt so bad because I'm sitting there under the canopy, the shade of the canopy, and the breeze from the marina, and David's talking to me about I don't even know what, and I'm paying zero attention to him.
Fuck me.
Because I'm watching the interview on the screen from the boat of Denis Villeneuve with Kevin Smith, and I'm just like, oh wait, I'm sorry.
Were you talking?
Were you talking
Does
to me?
anybody care?
I have no idea. I'm paying zero attention to you.
So anyway, since I'm going to talk,
I think Harrison Ford had the line of the day, though.
Oh, yeah, he did.
Because I think someone on the mic had asked him a question from the audience, was like, so basically, do you plan on just sort of rebooting all your old movies again? And then Harrison sort of looked and thought for a second, and he was like, you bet your ass I do.
Yeah, it's almost exactly what he said.
Owned it.
He totally
I love
did.
it.
I saw that, and I lost it. I saw that, and I thought it was the funniest.
I tip my hat to you, sir.
Yes.
I tip my hat.
All right, with a little bit of time we have left, I have to at least spend some time on Inhumans.
Oh.
I need to talk about some Inhumans, guys, because
that one.
That show
that
that's
happened.
coming to ABC soon,
That happened.
and to IMAX screens soon, and that I've been a little skeptical on. Had a panel in Ballroom 20 on one of those nights. I think it was Thursday night, and was definitely curious to sit in on that because I wanted more than anything to be like, I want to come see a panel for Inhumans and get some more footage and be like, walk out of it feeling like, all right, this is looking good. I'm feeling better about it because this is actually a Marvel comic I've actually read some of. And I'm like, I like this comic and I really want this to be good. And I was excited about there being a movie. And then there was the decision to go, no, you're going to get a show, but no, you're not going to get a show on Netflix. You're not going to get a show on like FX. You're going to get a show on ABC. And I definitely was not too happy with that news, but I'm open-minded. I'm excited for, anything. It's possible you could put a show on ABC that could be great, right? Like
miracles happen every day.
Miracles happen. And then they started putting out footage. And I'm like, yeah, looks really network, looks really ABC, but hey, I'm still open-minded. I'll go to the panel and they'll show us some scenes and I'll be like, all right, this is going to be great, guys. And they show us they show us a lot, actually. They showed a lot of scenes from the show. And they actually ended up showing even everyone outside of the panel these scenes. They had like an IMAX theater set up at whatever that, I forget what it's called, in near Gaslamp. And
Horton Plaza, I think.
Horton Plaza,
there
that's
it.
And I guess they showed the same exact scenes actually in IMAX for people who could go, and anybody I think could have gone to that. You didn't have to have a badge. So yeah, they show us these scenes, and the very first scene they show, I think it was with what's the character, Karnak, and he's like down in in this forest on Earth. Was it with him?
No, it wasn't. It was oh man,
David DeBobby to call you out on something.
Pretty sure.
Well, no, because I knew it wasn't. It's the one. Oh, I can't think of his name, but he's the one who's aquatic. He's like lives in the water. He doesn't live in the water, but he can go in the water.
Oh, that's right. Okay. But anyway, he's green and everything. And there's these people hunting down this girl who I think is just, figured out that she's an Inhuman or whatever, or something's up with her. And he is trying to make contact with her to hey, you're an Inhuman, blah, 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 is what's going on. And we're watching the scene and the dialogue and the acting is terrible. And and every other scene after that, I'm going to say right up front, I have lost all hope for the show.
Oh, wow.
Down the tubes.
It went down the tubes for me. Don't get me wrong, I'm going to go see it in IMAX because basically I want to be able to talk about it and I want to make my own opinion on the show when it actually comes out. But I have no hope for the Inhumans at this point. I think it looks bad. I really want this to be good, and I will be surprised if it is. And I hope to be surprised, but it does not look good. It looks very network. It looks very just too bright and too, I don't know what. It just, and the acting, again, especially that scene in particular, he starts talking to her and I'm like, oh my God, this is terrible. This is not good. and a lot of the acting and everything we saw was not great. And Bobby, you'll know, who was the guy that was moderating the panel? What's his name? Do you know? He's involved with Marvel Television, right?
Oh, Jeff Loeb?
Jeff Loeb.
Oh.
He right out just came out and said it. He has recognized the reaction to everyone reacting to Medusa's hair. And, you could tell he's almost seems annoyed by it. And he's like, you guys haven't seen it in action yet, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I get what you're saying, that we haven't seen, because her hair is, a lot to do with her powers, and it, it does shit.
Basically.
And yeah, all the scenes and shots we had seen so far, it's not doing anything yet. It's just on her head. It's a wig, but I'm sorry, dude, the wig doesn't look good. I'm like, I don't know what to fucking tell you, but the reason why everyone's reacting to the way it looks is because it looks like shit.
Right.
And I'm sorry. And don't get me wrong, we did see a scene. You see a clip of it in the trailer they released, but we saw the kind of full scene of a long scene of her interacting with what's his name, Maximus. And sure, as soon as you see it animate, there's this point where she can tell she gets agitated and her hair kind of puffs up. And as soon as it looked like that, I was like, that looks fine, actually.
Yeah.
The roots lift up.
As long as it lifts up, if it could just look
like a snake in a way.
Yeah, if it looks like this all the time, that'd be great.
It starts to lift.
Yeah, but
comes to life
in the normal like wig state. It does not look good. It doesn't. And
I mean, it just sounds like to me what they should have done is told the actress, look, you're never getting another haircut again. We're dyeing your hair, and then we're adding in a shitload of extensions.
Right. You know,
like,
it's
just to try to make it somewhat more realistic. But I think I think they literally were like, no, keep your blonde hair, sweetheart. Keep it however length you want. We're just going to put a wig on you. I think it was kind of a dumb decision. Like, they could have made much more efforts to make it look far more realistic.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen a lot of actors in tons of different movies that wear wigs and they look quite believable. And this just doesn't. There's like this squared off look or something about it.
Yeah. I think it's a lot because of the color, quite honestly. It's a very vibrant color. And so when you do something that stark against her very pale complexion and it's that stark, it stands out and it just looks, it's too fake. Doesn't work.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I'm not all like focusing on a stupid fucking wig. I mean, it's a major character and it's a big deal.
With the whole trailer.
Pretty much for me, everything we saw, I know it doesn't look great, and I'm pretty bummed about it. And I'm actually really curious because Bobby, you sat in the panel with me, and we haven't talked about it. So
no, we didn't talk about it.
I'm really curious to know what you thought of what we saw from Inhumans.
I don't know.
That's not promising. That's not promising, Bobby. Don't even follow that up with a sentence or even trying to defend that sigh in itself, man. That was not promising. And you are a Marvel guy, and I would be ashamed if you sat there and tried to defend. Well, if I take it and I look at it like this, no, man, that was bad. That sounded really bad.
I mean, it's like trying to cover up for where Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is right now. Like, it's just, he's trying to save face on it. And I just just admit it, Bobby. It's not good. It's not good.
Wow, that's kind of crazy because, like, I was just going to say it's not good. I wasn't going to try and defend it. There's nothing to defend. The expectation a long time ago was that they were doing an Inhumans movie. Right, and I've talked about it on the show many times that there's a rift between the people who run the television division and the people who run the film division. And so once Inhumans started getting incorporated into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., essentially all talks about an Inhumans movie sort of just initially stopped and died off. And then when they decided to say, okay, well, we're going to do an Inhumans show and it's going to be in IMAX for the first 2 episodes and everything, it sounds great. It sounds really, really great. But the problem is, and what David pretty much has sort of put out there, is that it just looks like it's something for ABC. Not even just for TV. It looks like it's something specifically for ABC. Mm-hmm. Because when I look at the trailer that they showed for Freeform TV for Cloak and Dagger.
Yes.
That looked better to me.
That looked incredibly better.
Yeah. And that's just sad because that should not be. And Freeform is.
If you had told me a fucking Cloak and Dagger, I'm sorry, like Michelle, because you're reacting, like the Cloak and Dagger stuff, I couldn't care less. And when I saw the Cloak and Dagger stuff, I was like, I would watch this. This looks good.
Like your face is illuminated right now in comparison to where it was 5 minutes ago.
But no, I'm sorry, Bobby, to cut you off, but please go on.
Well, yeah, so it's just that it just has a sort of really bottom of the basement look to it that it just doesn't look cinematic at all. And to me, what they showed for what would be the stuff they'll have in IMAX, it just looks like they tried to stylize it in a way that just doesn't make it look any better because there's slow-mo where there's guns firing and you see the shells coming out. It's like, who cares? I don't care about that. I want to see action with the characters and spend the money on that. Like, make the costumes look better or whatever the case may be. And I think part of the problem is that they have the same showrunner for Inhumans that they had for Iron Fist. And it's like this guy, this Scott Buck guy, I don't know what he seems to want to ground things because every time I hear him in an interview, he was talking about grounding Iron Fist. He's talking about grounding Inhumans. It's like, have you not seen the trailer for Thor Ragnarok? What's grounded about like that? It's like, come on, man. Don't put the Inhumans in Hawaii. That's just, why would you do that? Like, at the very least, they would be in New York. Like, why would they? No. And so it's bad that one, it's on ABC, and honestly, I think based on how this series does on ABC, this might be sort of the thing that kills any kind of network deals with ABC getting Marvel series, because they look good on freaking Netflix. They look good for what the Freeform has. Hulu has Runaways that they showed that little sort of trailer before, and that looks good. But this ABC is just like, I don't know what they're doing over there that makes it look in the way that it does, that it just doesn't look good. It just doesn't look professionally done. And so I don't have much hope in terms of it being a good looking show. And the only thing that I can hope for is that storyline wise, it's good. That keeps me sort of coming back to it for the 8 episodes or whatever it's running for, to where maybe if that's good enough, they get a second season, get the showrunner out of there, get a new showrunner in, spend some more money on it, do something to punch it up. Because the way it is now, it's just like, I don't feel like it's going to do well. And it is, people are not going to respond well to it because it seems like a half-hearted attempt at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this is Disney trying to inject Marvel where they can inject Marvel into, and they're forcibly doing it into ABC. And I think what they need to do is take a step back and just go, you know what? Let Marvel be Marvel in their cinematic universe and in the Netflix thing. But as far as ABC is concerned and doing network thing, they need to just back the hell off, because, and I will fully admit, I have not seen the last season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I feel like that show jumped the shark a shit long time ago. And
Michelle.
I know. and I feel like they're really pushing Marvel on the network, and Disney just needs to just let it go. They need to just let it go.
Even Yasha liked this last season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. You know he's been dogging it for a while.
So yeah, no, I mean, Bobby's not wrong. Like, I have been a huge critic when it comes to just berating and just destroying Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and I have stuck with it through hell one high water. And this past season,
you were a better man than I, Guggendin.
This past season, it was enjoyable. It was entertaining. But you're not wrong with the whole jumping the shark thing, because I mean, I remember that they were in trouble after the second season. They were in trouble of getting canceled then.
Yeah, and, mid second season was pretty rough. Yeah, it was not looking good.
They've barely been hanging on by a thread, and they are really scraping by and really reaching with some of their storylines and plot details and everything like that. But I mean, this past season I enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with the next season. And I'm gonna give it a first couple of. I always give it at least 2 or 3 episodes, and I'm like, okay, I'll keep going with it because you guys got me. This is good. But the minute it starts to falter again, I'll give it maybe 1 episode or 2 episodes after that. And the minute I start to say, okay, I call bullshit, then I'm just done. I have to move on.
I'm saying this, and I enjoyed the Agent Carter, the first season of Agent Carter that they put on. And then they stretched it too hard and went to the second season of Agent Carter, which was not good. It was not good. There's just no getting around it. It was not good.
Not good.
And
it was just that.
It just was not good. The first season was really fun. It was very enjoyable. It was a good little ride. But I think it's just Disney trying to inject Marvel into their network of ABC as much as they possibly can. And I think they need to somehow... And I know they're not going to, because Disney, and Disney just basically says fuck all the rest of the world. But they need to take a step back and just let it out. Like, it just doesn't need to be on network. It's not the venue for the Marvel universe, in my opinion.
But I'll say, like, I watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for a bit, but I've stopped watching it. But from the stuff I saw, I mean, at least the look of it worked for me. And I watched the first season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and it worked for me. And I don't get, it's sad that there's no excuse just because, it's on ABC. It has to have this network look to it. Like, there's no reason they could not have made an Inhuman show and put it on ABC. And this could have been good. Like, why the fuck does it look so bad? And it just looks so ABC. Why? There's no excuse for that.
I think it shows just how much Disney wants to give love to it. They just don't. They're just trying to do it to get something on their network that's Marvel.
But yeah, it's a bummer because based on what we've seen so far, I will be surprised if the show lasts. And it's unfortunate that then we may never. I hate to use the word never because someday I'm sure we will, but for a long time we will probably not see it on film. And that's a bummer because I like the Inhuman story and I thought it could have been a really good movie. And for them to make this choice to kill the movie and do this instead, it's like, God damn it.
It's frustrating knowing the character of like Lockjaw,
right?
And seeing him in the few shots you get of him, he just looks stupid.
Yeah.
He just looks dumb, and it's heartbreaking because like you see these characters, and I'm like, I know these characters are stronger than this. Come on.
That was a bummer. I was really hoping to walk out of the panel feeling good about that show, and it was so the opposite. So that was a bummer. I mean, really quick, we can run through some stuff, Bobby, me and you, that maybe we saw, like you were excited about. I will say real quick, because I wanted to see the Inhumans panel, I sat through the Legion panel. And I had seen the first episode of Legion, and I don't know, maybe I watched it on some random night where I was tired. I don't know. And I think I talked about it on the podcast, and I was kind of mixed feelings on it. And I just never went back to continue to watch it, which I meant to do. I just never did. But I watched a scene in the Legion panel at Comic-Con from the last episode, and I was blown away by it. And I definitely will be watching Legion. Like, I was actually really upset with myself after watching that panel, going, God damn it, why am I not watching this? Because this looks like some good shit. Like, Inhumans, fuck that. This looks incredibly good. Right. So I'll definitely be watching Legion, and that's happening.
They made a believer out of you.
Yes, that panel worked. They showed just the right scene to go, okay, you sold me totally. I will be watching the show. But anything you saw at Comic-Con really quick, Bobby, you wanted to touch on?
Sure, a couple things. One, at first they were supposed to have a 20th Century Fox panel, and I don't know what happened to it, but it essentially turned into a Kingsman: The Golden Circle panel, and they showed a lot of footage from that, which looks like it's going to be pretty great. I mean, a really good sequel follow-up to the original. Just the action in it, just the humor, everything that you loved about the first one. It looks like Matthew Vaughn did it again and really made a really good sequel. So that was a highlight. And then I think the other big one was getting a chance to see the entire first episode of Marvel's Defenders, because the way they presented it, it made it seem like you were only going to see a clip and something. And they did show clips, because the first thing that happened was John Bernthal came out and he presented a clip for the Punisher Netflix series. And it was awesome. It was so cool. Oh my God, it's going to be great. It's everything you would expect the Punisher to be, and it just looks like that's going to be so sweet. And so then after that, they introduced the Defenders, and they came out, and then they were able to show a few individual clips of some of the stuff going on for the show, and then they showed us the whole first episode, and it looks good. Like it really looks like they were able to capture each of the individual shows' spirit within the clips, because in that first episode they're kind of like setting the stage for them. They don't get together right away. They're just kind of showing where they're at right now after their seasons have ended, and getting them to that point where they're going to meet together. And Sigourney Weaver looked really awesome as the bad villain in this series. So I'm all in. I can't wait, and it's just right around the corner. Like we got like 2 weeks, 3 weeks before it comes out.
It's
August 12th or something like that.
I don't have the date in front of me, but yeah, I knew it was in August.
Yeah, so I mean, it's right around the corner. That was pretty cool. And then I think if was there anything else, I guess, that I thought
August 18th, by the way.
Okay, yeah, it was pretty close. But I guess that's it, other than the fact that we did both see some Westworld stuff that they had showed. They didn't show too much because I guess they had just started filming.
Yeah, which I didn't even realize they had been filming at all. And to hear that they had been filming for a week, I was like, oh, Okay. I didn't know.
Yeah.
I figured I'd have seen that news somewhere that they started
Exactly.
production.
And then I guess I just saw that they're actually supposed to debut the new season in the spring of next year.
Yeah, because
So
all
I
they
was
saw,
like, wow.
all they said in the panel was 2018. The kind of little clip they put together mentioned the 2018. That was it. That's all it said. So
Yeah.
I kind of figured that meant probably spring, but they didn't say for sure.
Yeah, and the article I saw, I think, showed that it was actually spring. But
Nice.
yeah, so that's pretty close. And I think that was pretty much it. One of the things I wish I had a chance to see that I didn't, but ended up hearing good things about was the Star Trek Discovery panel.
Yeah,
So-
I wanted to be there, but that was on Saturday, so that
Yeah,
wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, but that was pretty much it for me. I mean, there's some other little things, but mostly in terms of the bigger highlights, that was it.
Nice. Well, another Comic-Con has come and gone. Hopefully we'll be there again next year. Looking forward to it.
All four of us.
All four of us on one time, for all four of us to be together in one place. So hopefully that happens. But yeah, Yasha, it was a bummer not having you there. It felt weird you not being there.
It was weird.
And I'm glad you enjoyed Costa Rica, but I hope we all get to make it to Comic-Con next year.
Next year I will be there, guys. I really missed everybody. Really missed the chance of seeing you guys and hanging out and spending some quality time with you guys, not just talking to you on the show and outside of the show. But you were definitely missed, and you were definitely thought of every day. Believe that. Just because I was away and I couldn't be there, my heart was with you guys. I was thinking about it all the time. I promised myself I wasn't going to cry.
All right.
Now, I had a blast in Costa Rica, but it was a blast. I'm glad you guys had a great time. And thank you for keeping me up to date with as much as you could, getting text messages here and there and whatnot, and checking in. It was great to hear from you guys and see what you were seeing through your eyes.
Well, with that, we are going to get out of here. As always, we'd love to hear back from everyone listening. You can always email us at feedback@flickereffect.com. Or you can reach out to us on the various social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, on Instagram now. You can find links to those accounts on our website over on the right-hand side. I'm David Lott.
Bobby Jackson.
I'm Yasha Wilson.
Our Instagram's the best. Michelle Curry.
Thanks. Thanks for listening.